Well, Kent Adams here, and welcome to The Car Guy. No, I'm not the car guy. This guy is the car guy.
Hello, Kent. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Where have you been?
Working.
Working?
That's kind of successful people do. We actually get up out of bed and go work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that.
I mean,
Like kind of what you guys do every day.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've missed you.
Well, thank you.
And it's kind of fun to be back. We're going to be doing this a couple times a month. Actually, it's your show. I just wanted to welcome you back.
And I'm glad you did. Thank you. It's nice to be back. I've missed you guys. Something terrible.
Yeah, yeah. Is that why you shooed me away when I visited you the other day? Yeah.
Pretty
okay.
much, yeah.
Okay, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You came by and I was wondering what you were selling.
Everybody does. Oh, Klaus. A lot of things have happened.
Yeah.
We did a show a year ago, even still during COVID and so and the lockdown and so forth, and we out at your place where we were apart in different cars and all of that, but we haven't done a show since.
Yeah.
A lot has happened since then.
And the car market's changed since then.
Yes.
A lot of things have gone really strange.
My wife and I were having a conversation the other day about, I don't know why it came up, about getting a used car. Not for us, but for somebody was asking, and where to go and all of that. And that wasn't the point really of the conversation, because I turned around and said, only if you are desperate at this point because of what's happening. So let's talk about, and the reason for that is the new cars. There aren't very many, so people are going to the used cars because they, in some cases, absolutely have to have transportation.
Sure.
I get that.
Sure.
But what's the market out there? Bring us up to date. What's going on?
Oh, it's tough, Kent. It's tough. The big, I think there's a number of challenges. Number one, obviously, is the lack of new car inventory.
Okay.
Which makes the larger dealers, if you're a large dealer, whether you be a Ford dealer, a Chevrolet dealer, or an Audi dealer, or a Porsche dealer, or whatever, and you can't get new product, then
you're going to run out.
Yeah, you've got very little to sell, which means you need to go out and rely on used car or pre-owned business in order to keep your doors open.
Right.
And, even though I buy and sell cars for a living, right now I'm telling my customers, wait.
Why is that?
Because the cars are overpriced. They're simply overpriced. I'll give you a perfect example. Okay. This morning, I was online and I was trying to put a bid on a BMW that was actually being sold at auction down in California. Wholesale value on the car was about $5,000.
Okay.
So as a dealer, I would expect that I could normally buy this car for about $5,000.
Right.
Your book wholesale value.
Right.
The car sold about 2 hours later for $10,006.
Okay.
And that means
sounds
that
more like the retail.
Yeah, and actually it's over retail. And actually a dealer bought this at a wholesale auction and paid well over retail for the car just to have inventory to sell.
Wow.
And unfortunately, that now trickles down to the consumer.
Yes.
And they're being asked to pay over retail value for cars that simply aren't worth that kind of money.
Yeah. So the $5,000 wholesale cost, he paid $10,000 something.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to ship it and all the other things that go.
Oh, not only that. I mean, he paid for the auction price. He paid for the auction fee, probably another $400 or $500.
Okay.
He paid to have it shipped to wherever it was going.
Okay.
The car is going to have to go through their shop to make sure it's safe. They're going to recondition the automobile and clean it up for sale. And now they're in this thing $12,000-$13,000, and they got to make a profit on it.
Right.
So
are they going to make a profit on it though?
My opinion is no.
Okay.
My opinion is no. They will probably lose money on the car, but they'll try to make money on the back end of the deal. And in other words, they're going to try to get the consumer, to pay for an extended warranty, a tire warranty, some kind of paint preparation where I promise you'll never have to wax your car again.
Right. Yeah.
And all this wonderful stuff that will hopefully make up for the loss that they may take on the automobile.
Or at least part of it.
Or at least part of it.
Yeah.
And I understand the dealers have to have something to sell. I get that. I'm not in that boat. I don't have 50, 60 cars on in inventory. I keep, maybe a dozen cars in inventory at any one time. And I understand they got mouths to feed, and I understand they got bills to pay.
Yes.
I just don't know that they're doing their clients a real justice when it comes to the pricing on these cars.
Okay, so I'm going to buy a car at maybe $14,000 for that
Okay.
example, okay?
Okay.
But I've got a car that's really worth retail probably maybe 6,000,
7,
7,
8, right
okay,
around in there.
somewhere in there. Okay, so I'm going to hold it for a year or two because I had to have transportation. But basically, all that value goes away.
Well, again, it's not the car's the value hasn't gone up. The price of the car has gone up.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily any more valuable. Because if you go to your lender, let's say for as an example, we'll use this car as an example.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say the car has a blue book, Kelly blue book, or NADA book value of let's say $8,000.
Okay.
On a high end. Okay. But the dealer's going to ask you to pay $15,000 for this car.
Right.
Your credit is good, but not great.
Okay.
So your lender, as an example, may finance 110% of
The
book
blue.
value.
Okay.
And again, let's say that's $7,000. Your credit's good, so they'll finance $7,700.
Yeah.
In order for you to get financed on this, you're going to have to come up with that balance
Yes.
between the $7,700 and the 14-odd thousand
For a
plus tax
car
and
that's
license.
worth less than 8,000.
For a car that's worth less than 8,000. And the challenge being there is if you do buy it, you're going to be stuck in this thing forever.
Yeah.
There's really no way you're ever
Because you're never going to catch up. I mean, that gap.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
And again, I understand that they need to have cars for sale. I get that.
Right.
They have employees they need to feed. I get that as well. They have to have something in inventory for their customers to buy.
How frustrating for everybody.
Oh.
It's not just one set of people, right?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's really, really difficult out
So
there.
you're the expert, you're the car guy. What do you advise someone to do?
Right now, unless you have to buy something for transportation, I mean have to,
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
And again, I do this for a living.
Yeah.
You know, so to tell people
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
spend money with me right now,
Yeah.
you know, I'm cutting my own throat, so
Yeah.
to speak. But I wouldn't be doing my clients any favors trying to put them in one of these cars. I
Yeah,
really
because
wouldn't.
they're going to come back to you and talk to you in 3 or 4 years.
No, they're not going to come back to me.
Well, they're going to yell at you.
Yeah, well,
okay, over the phone. Yeah.
possibly. But again, I haven't done them any favor.
No.
I really haven't done them any favor at all. I've kept the doors open. I've maybe put a couple of bucks in my salesman's pocket, but I haven't done my clients any favors. I really, truly haven't.
Okay, we know there are people out there who can't get to work via public transportation or other. They've got a good job opportunity now. They've taken advantage of some of the openings that are
Yes.
there.
And good for them, yeah.
Yes, absolutely good for them. More
bet.
power to them. But they really need the vehicle. They've got kids or whatever to take around to the doctor's office, school, and all the other things that life brings at you.
Yeah.
But they got to have a car.
And right now, because of the market and because of the prices being unrealistically high, I would suggest if you have to have transportation, buy the least expensive thing you can that's reliable
Okay.
until this cycle hopefully ends. And, you know, we start building cars again, new cars. The dealers will have new cars in inventory from which to sell, which means their used car inventory lessens a little bit and prices come back down to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. So you really had a lower loss.
Yes.
Eventually.
Yes. Yeah.
But you know,
Hopefully.
tell the kids we might have to drop you off a half a block from school or whatever.
We may have to take you in a minivan.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, gee. Do they still sell those? Oh, okay. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's tough. It's tough. And
is.
as a consumer, I would be leery of the pricing out there. You really need to do your homework as a
Right.
consumer to make sure you're not overpaying for these
But
cars.
let's be honest, the dealers are not liking this at all.
No.
No, I mean, it really, it puts them in an awful spot, number one. They'll lose some profitability, irritate a lot of potential customers when they
Yeah.
go in. Why do we not have a lot of new cars available?
Well, you know, this thing started obviously with this. I'm not going to. It started with COVID.
Yes.
There are reasons that cars are not being produced, whether it be people not going to work, whether it be circuit boards that aren't being produced for the cars, whether there's not enough tires being produced for automobiles. We can't put the blame just on the manufacturer.
Okay.
There's all those wonderful vendors that supply parts and supplies for the automotive industry. And all those supplies are difficult to obtain right now.
We know the supply line is tough for lots of products these
Right.
days, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then again, I look at it this and go, if I were Ford or General Motors,
Yeah.
and are relying on a vendor to provide circuit boards for me, I'd probably figure out a way to how to build those circuit boards myself, and not have to wait or rely on somebody else.
And even
building it
sell
for
to
me.
the competition because
Maybe
there's profit
so.
available there.
Maybe
too,
so. There's
right?
another outlook or outlet for them to make money.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I agree. I don't know. Let's hope that when everybody gets back to work and things
Yes.
start being produced again, and there's new cars on the lots, and there's incentive money for new cars all of a sudden again, because there's not now. Obviously, the dealers are not going to give away what they cannot get,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Excuse me. So there's no incentive money right now. There's no, gee whiz golly, what, $3,500 rebate on this
Yes,
and $4,000 back on that. You're not seeing those commercials, are we?
Right. No, you're
Right?
not. No.
And it's simple economics, Econ 101. The new car dealers can't give away what they cannot get enough of.
Right. Right.
And the reality of it is that these larger dealers, these larger dealer groups like AutoNation and Power and Penske, I buy a lot of cars for clients at auctions.
Yes.
And what ends up happening is I'm getting outbid, and not by a little, but by thousands and thousands of dollars by
Like 5,000 to 10,000.
by these big groups that are
Yeah.
buying up these cars, truckloads of them, in order to keep inventory.
Yeah.
And again, I get it, but there's
But nobody's winning.
nobody's winning. in this.
Nobody's winning.
No, and unfortunately, the worst loser is the consumer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You, the consumer, is the worst loser. You're being asked to pay way, way, way too much for an automobile, simply because there's a lack of inventory.
Well, let's close on the fact that you're welcome back to
Well,
the
thanks.
Car Guy.
It's good to be here.
Yes. And what are some of the things coming up that you can think of that you want to talk about?
Well, there was an interesting situation a few months ago where a client of mine found himself in a position whereby he thought he had done all his due diligence.
Yeah.
He thought he had done all his homework and was sold an automobile that he was promised had never been damaged. And we find out some couple of weeks later that that's not the case. So, one of the things we might want to focus on in a later show is the Carfax auto check. Who are you going to believe? What information can you rely on? And what else can you do to protect yourself, even if a car comes back with a clean Carfax or an auto check? That's something else we can discuss.
The key word I think was or,
Yes.
because there are ways to do both that really help protect your rear end.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dealers should do the same thing. If they're offering an automobile,
Show me both.
Show me both. Don't show
Okay.
me one.
Yeah.
It's been my experience that, boy, how can I do this without being in trouble or get myself in trouble?
Oh, that would be a first.
I know. It's been my experience that one of the reporting agencies isn't always as accurate as another.
Okay. Okay.
That's about. I'll leave it at that for our next show.
Okay. All right. So
Cool.
tune in, right?
Good to be back.
Okay.
Thanks for having me back. It's been neat. We're going to have a lot of fun doing this,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll be not only entertaining but informative for our clients.
Well, and I think too, there are a lot of opportunities coming if we can get things rolling again in the industry.
Yeah.
That will be good for
Yes.
everybody, including, perhaps most importantly, the consumer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And right now, like I said, the consumer's being asked to pay an awful lot
Yeah.
for an awful little. And
I feel sorry for the guy or the gal who waited a year or two thinking now would be the time, but who could predict 2 years ago or 3 years ago what we've gone through and what the effect on industry.
I have 4 clients right now looking for a particular car,
Yeah.
right? That a year ago, this would have been a non-issue.
Yeah.
And right now I'm telling these people, and it means an awful lot of money to me. I'm telling them, let's wait.
Okay.
And fortunately, they're bright enough to understand why I'm telling you
Yes.
that, right? It's a car that I could have bought, as an example, 8 months ago for $60,000 is now $85,000.
Oh, okay,
But when production starts back up on these new cars,
okay.
this $85,000 car is again one time going to become a $60,000
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
So I can't ask my customers
Yeah,
to pay that additional $25,000. I just can't do it.
yeah. And even though you warn them and everything else, all they'll know in 2 years or 3 years is that I bought that car from you for 85,000 and it's barely worth, yeah.
And sometimes you can lead a horse, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I know. Okay. Let's not go there. Well, we'll be talking about horses, but I think more of the horses in an engine.
horsepower,
Horsepower.
lots of it.
Next time on
The Car Guy. Thanks, Kent.
Thanks.